Hello and welcome along to the start of our second season of this FM22 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. We're back for Cefn Druids with a summer transfer special, followed by a tough game away at Penybont. So we're going to see what our director of football's done. It's the fun part of this series. Sometimes it's the excruciating one too. We'll find out which of them it's going to be here a little bit later on, as Ben Williams is in charge of whether we've got a good squad this season or whether we've got nothing to work with. If you're looking forward to finding out how he's got on and what shape we're starting this season in, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM22 content from 2 long-term stories. We've got one hell of a weekend coming up, a big season review with Hemel Hempstead tomorrow morning at 11:30. The head coach, of course, continuing every day at 3:30. And a big special on Sunday morning relating to the Data Hub, so keep your eyes peeled for that as well. But a massive thank you for your support with Season 1. Thank you for all of those who have popped over to Twitch too. We've got daily FM22 beta streams there. But this is all about Cefn Druids and the transfer window, because Ben Williams has been a busy boy. The problem is, he's been selling a little bit quicker than he's been signing. We've just about got a squad together for the season though, and with a month of the window to go, I've certainly seen worse in the first club of a head coach. So let's get straight to it and head on to the transfers, because there is a lot that has been going on. Even up until yesterday, we didn't know if we were going to have players in a certain position, and one just came over the line. But before that, we have got some concerns in the squad. No replacement for Agyemang on the right wing, but is that going to be the only one? Let's go and find out. We almost lost Joe Stanton. He rejected today's opponent's Penybont. He's trying to loan a centre-half Ryan Austin from Wrexham, who we'll have a look at in a moment. But let's start with the deals that have been done. And we'll begin with the outs from the club. So we have to go back to the end of last season, because the deals were at the end of May and the end of June for contracts. But a few players released that were involved in the squad last year. Most namely, Niall Flint and George Harry, who were involved in the squad an awful lot. Kieran Smith was out on loan, and Pommy and Foe just made 1 or 2 appearances. But 2 players there that were in our first choice 18, so are definitely going to need replacing. At the end of June, we lost Alex Palmer, a player I genuinely didn't know I'd heard of, so that shows you the impact he had at the club. Sorry if you're watching, Alex. And then let's move on to all transfers, and again, we'll start with the ones last season to see who's been leaving the club. So nothing early in the window in terms of outs and ins, but if we move on to this year, and from the end of June onwards, there's been quite a bit going on. Now, the first one on the out screen you already knew about. Emmanuel Agyemang leaving, a big loss. He was part of our first 11 last year, and we haven't replaced him yet, which is my biggest concern here. Aside from that, there's one star that went, and that was a week ago. Kane Owen left us with no left back. He moved to Flint Town, who finished below us last season. Went on a free agent deal. He's earning money there, so I kind of understand it. The good news is just about yesterday, our director of football got a replacement in. The other first teamer to leave really was Harry Farnsworth. He was involved on the bench a little bit last year. He's gone off to Llandudno. Ben Wynn went to the same club. 2 lads off to Carmarthen, 1 on loan and 1 permanently. And then Max Davidson, who played a couple of games at left back before Owen joined last year, has gone to Knockbrader on a free. He's Northern Irish, so he's going back home for this one. However, after all of that excitement and a few desperately promoted youth players, because I was a little bit concerned about the shape of the squad, we have had action late in July. Now, the negative is a lot of these players haven't had time to play in pre-season because they've only joined in the last week or 2. But there are 4 decent players that have come into the club. So first of all, Christian Marr, who I presume is the replacement for Bickerstaff. A poacher, 3-star ability, very similar attributes, but perhaps not quite as good physically. Not quite as agile, not quite as quick. We're going to try and work on that in training, and if he can improve, he's definitely got the potential. Made a few appearances for Cardiff Met Uni last season, where of course they finished in the top 4, but I'm not sure in the long term he's going to be the solution at this club. Having said that, great finisher, great composure and good movement, so perhaps in the box he'll be a bit of a threat. He's short, but he's got a decent jump. I'm optimistic he'll be okay and rotate with Nick Roberts, who signed in January. The second one, little bit of a weird one when you consider the player we're trying to get from Wrexham on loan. Luke Cooper is another centre-half. Now, he's quite slow. He's not earning anything. He's on an amateur contract. He's not composed. He's not got great concentration, and his positioning's poor. And you know how much I value positioning in a centre-half. So I don't think he's going to be involved in the first team. I don't think he's really going to play much at all. He'll just sit on the bench for now. But regardless, it gives us another option in there. We've still got Lewis. Lever signed a 2-year contract, which is absolutely crucial. And we've got this lad behind them, as well as the young Jesse Naylor who came through the youth intake. I think that leaves us with 4 good centre-halves, and possibly in a few days' time 5. The big ones, though, have come in the last few days. Ben Coley is the first to join the club on the 26th of July, and it ended unhappiness coming from the dressing room with Charlie Edge. That's because we have a new first choice goalkeeper. £160 a week, 3.5-star ability, and what a player. Again, a couple of little deficits, positioning and composure, but a good shot stopper, solid in the air, 6 foot and decent handling. We can't ask for much more than that. He's a big upgrade on Michael Jones, who was declining. He's also an upgrade on the backup from Barrytown United, who, by the way, is doing my head in behind the scenes. And he comes in from Cardiff, where he's been in the youth team, so he knows what it's like to train with good clubs. He's under 19, which means we don't have to worry about the bench if we get more senior players. I'm really happy with that one. A new first choice goalkeeper, and just in the nick of time, a new first choice left back. With Kano in leaving, we had 7 days for a replacement, and the director of football, in fairness, has bid for some great left backs this summer. It's not really that Ben Williams has been slow going for players, just the players he's gone for are so good and so ambitious that they've ended up going to better clubs. But Steve Peters comes in from Merthyr. He's a 2.5-star ability left back, 2-star probably in the role we're going to use, but a good tackler, okay physically, could do with being a little bit quicker at 26. We're probably not going to be able to improve him. I do worry about the fact that he marks people tightly and he's quite aggressive. Are we going to get more yellow and red cards? But he does a job for us. He's not really any worse than Owen, and I'm just happy to have a senior left back at this point. So good signing him, and hopefully more to come. The positive at the moment with that done is there is still plenty of money left. 14 grand on a transfer budget, 1 grand a week on the wage budget, and the man he's trying to get on loan, Ryan Austin, the centre half from Wrexham, it's only 100 quid a week. So he's still got that wage left to go and get me a right back, to get me another great left back, whatever else he might be able to do, maybe even a striker or a centre mid, the sort of targets that they looked at in the recruitment meeting. But Ryan Austin is the one that's potentially coming in. He is a centre half, apparently with 2.5-star ability, bit better in the core attributes, but not very strong, which is weird for a 6'4" centre half who's standing tall, who's quite quick. Just seems a little bit off. And positionally he's okay, not the most composed, but I think he's better than the one that we got in on a free already. So I think that would be an upgrade from the director of football, and it does give us options. If we get an injury, say in centre mid, we can push Bio back in, Lewis out to right back, and Austin can get involved in a squad. Maybe even a utility target man at this point as well. We'll wait and see. But that, I would say, is not the worst transfer window we'll ever get in a head coach. Of course, there's a month to go. I'd like to see a few more join. And while I'd be disappointed if Stanton left on a free, which he seems to be looking at doing, we have got decent replacements on the left. We've got David Evans, who came through the youth intake last year. Charlie Edge can now play on the left of midfield. I was worrying about having to play him left back for a while. And I have promoted a few of the youth players as well. We've got a few results of the staff meetings where Derek Amankwa has been added to the transfer list. There was one a bit further up as well. Yolani Bio, we had to make a promise to. And that was that we're going to strengthen the right of midfield. And I'll be as angry as him if that doesn't happen. But the ones that we've promoted to the senior team, in addition to the ones that have come in, are Hao Chi Hin, who is a right midfielder. Might even start today. I haven't decided yet. But 2-footed, good crosser of the ball and quick. He's got the core attributes for maybe 1 or 2 games. And the first team football's only going to help him. Nathan Nichols is promoted to the senior squad too. He will become our 4th striker with Roberto, Roberts and the new boy, Christian Marr. He is, of course, a great finisher. I think he's better than his rating here. I'm not sure why he's 2-star and some of the others are higher. I think it's just because of that decision attribute. If we had it as an advanced forward, he's a decent all-rounder. I think Nathan Nichols is going to be a star. Guindo is another centre midfield option. He is a number 10 naturally, but just sort of a bit like Niall Flint last year. He's coming in to fill that void on the bench for me. And if we can promote youth players, which is part of our agreement with the club culture items, we've got to get people into the senior squad. I think he might be a possibility to make a few appearances off the bench. And then the last one, of course, David Evans is promoted to the senior team. He joins Naylor, who was the other start of last year's intake. And if Stanton goes, he'll end up being the backup left back. So a much younger squad. We do need 2 or 3 players still. A right winger is a must. Jose Ferreira probably just going to edge in at the start today, despite not being a natural on the right of a 4. And we've obviously got the youngster, but I'd like one more on the right of midfield. I'd like one more centre midfielder, maybe to compete with the likes of Baker and Pavel Vieira. And then maybe one more striker that's just going to blow it away and score 20 goals in the league. But for now, I think we've got a squad that, minus a right winger, probably isn't far off being a mid-table side. So no complaints, maybe a lack of experience. But we can't say that Ben Williams hasn't done his best. He's got a decent set of staff in. He's kept all of the staff that were here last year on new contracts. And going into our second season in Wales, we've got a great opportunity. And it's made better by something that's weakened the league, but certainly helped our cause. We mentioned this year that a lot of star players had gone to Welsh sides in real life. Now, they go in real life because they want to get closer to home, they're coming towards the end of their careers, whatever it may be. But in FM, reputation plays a bit too much of a part. So if I go and show you the transfers that have gone out, especially in terms of released players, you'll see that Dave Edwards has left Bala. Neil Erdley has left Connors Quay. Ashley Richards has left Haverfordwest. Jack Evans has left today's opponent's Penybont. They're just not able to keep hold of these star players. And that's something that is going to make us a lot more competitive, because we've got young players who are still improving, even for a part-time side. Our fixture list has been, I would say, quite unkind. We start with Penybont, Bala, and then TNS. So maybe not the friendliest start to the league campaign, but if we can pick up a few results in those sorts of games, it could be a very good season for us. The last day of the transfer window is also met by a game against promoted Llanelli Town. Prestatyn come up from the north as well, so 2 strong sides in the top tier this year. But let's start our season against Penybont. Same tactic, same sort of players. Let's go and pick our 11 and be back to run through it. So here is the team today, and I should mention that in addition to all the deals that have been done, Jacob Lever has signed a new 2-year deal. He stays, but now earning 120 quid a week. Michael Jones stayed as backup keeper. He took a massive pay cut, 240 quid a week down to 75, but the director of football still giving him the first choice goalkeeper playing time status. I think we'll have to try and edge that down. The rest of it is pretty much as you'd expect. Clear problem on the right wing. We solved that, we've got a decent side. Nathan Roberts has to step up with the loss of Bickerstaff. Can he replace those 16-17 goals? That's the big question for this season. If not, Mara and Nichols are waiting in the wings. But I'm really happy with the team. We've got a settled back 4, just the left back changing, a new improved goalkeeper, and bar Ferreira having to come in on the right. The rest of the midfield is the one that succeeded the second half of last season. A lot of pressure on Roberto to start the year. He's got to be the striker that fires through with momentum. But this is our 11 for the first day of the season at Penybont. Coley in goal making his debut. The same for Peters at left back. Bio a bit more familiar on the right. Lewis and Lever at centre half. Edge and Ferreira on the wings. And then Baker and Vieira behind Roberto and Roberts. The big front 2 for our new Welsh Premier League season. Let's go away to Penybont. Let me know in the comments what you think the score will be. Do you think any of the new signings are going to start today? Let's go and see if we can get the result. Well, still a few good players in this Penybont side. Of course, they're not going to be the same without Waite and Evans. They were 2 of their stars last year. But the likes of Lewis Clutton are still in there. They've got a solid defence, a very good goalkeeper in Ashley Morris. And they are going to give us a good game. I'd imagine they'll still be favourites. What I didn't check is where we're expected to finish at the moment. Oh, we're expected to finish 6th, ahead of Barry, ahead of Penybont, and all of the sides that were below us last year. Aberystwyth have had a climb as well, I guess because they didn't really have any stars to lose, but had a lot of solid players as well. That could be interesting. Penybont got Europe as well. I don't know if they got through any rounds. We're not going to worry about it like we did in the Build a Nation. Oh no, they got absolutely tanked. 7-0 on aggregate by a side from Slovakia. This is an opportunity. Let's go and head into the first half. Cross your fingers, we can start in style. Well, 16 minutes on the clock. It's been a very quiet start. Not the best kick from our new keeper. I didn't check to see what his attribute was for that, but it falls for Edge on the left wing, who cuts inside. Beaten to it by a sliding challenge, and it's away to Warlow. Still got a threat of Penybont here, though Ferreira nicks it back on halfway. Got a runner on the right, but he's going alone down the wing. Plays back to Bio, the fullback. Chips it up towards the poacher. Roberts is in! That's a defensive error from Penybont. Morris comes to try and close the angle, but he can't do enough with it. And with Bickerstaff leaving, the second top scorer last year, Roberts has made one hell of a start as replacement. 1-0 Cefn Druids with a first shot on target. And so far, looking pretty good. And with just over half an hour gone, we're back on the ball again in the middle. Vieira and the target man Roberto involved as Lewis goes wide to Bayo. Down the line to Ferreira, who's actually had a good start on the right wing here. Not a natural position by any means, but he gets to the byline, delivers to Charlie Edge at the back post, hits the woodwork, and it will be cleared by Jeffries. We look fantastic. Really solid at the back, creating chances every time we go forward. And if we can keep that solid base while keeping the goals going in at the other end, that momentum from the end of last season could very much stay with us. 1-0 at the break it is to Cefn Druids. Penybont had more of the stats, but it doesn't matter. We've got the lead and we look comfortable. But with 10 minutes gone in a second half, the original problem has returned. We've got a Penybont corner to see out first. Warlow into the back post. And Lewis Lynch heads in. He's officially the best player to come through any youth intake last year. And at the same time, Charlie Edge has pulled his groin. Just cannot stay fit. We might as well bring on Joe Stanton because it might be one of his last games. If I show you that Lynch very quickly, he's playing up front for them actually. He's a centre-half by trade, but look at those attributes. A 17-year-old through the youth academy. What a fantastic player. Good leader, determined as well. And he's put Penybont back on terms. I know we haven't seen any highlights from them, but based on the whole match in terms of stats, I don't think we can complain. We're straight up the other end though with Yanani Bayo. Throws to Ferreira, gets it back. Into Roberts at the back stick. His header just over the bar. Where was Roberto on the far side there? Not quite sure where he went. But Stanton's got a corner. Another delivery. Outswinger to Lewis. Just beaten to it. Lever the other centre-half. Recycles possession. Plays down the line to Stanton. It was a nice turn. Back to Baker on the edge of the box. That was pretty ambitious. Would have been jumping out of our seat if he scored that. With 20 to go. As soon as the goal went in, it's almost been a kick up the backside for us. Ferreira gets it back to Yolani Bayo. Right wing. Chance to cross in. Who's there? Oh, two defenders miss it. Roberts didn't expect it to come for him. Sort of just hit his head and went straight through to the keeper, Morris. Long ball downfield. Who's up? Kane Lewis is up. Stanton knocks it down for Roberto. We're piling on the pressure. Lever gets the ball. Past the 70-minute mark we go. He just walks into midfield, gives it to Baker, to Roberts. Lovely turn back out to Ferreira. Thought about playing the target man in, but Bayo gets it. Crosses in early to the back post. Roberts over again. Oh, we've got to take these. We have got to take these chances. And I'm going to have to go and make a couple of changes because we need to try and nick a winner. So I've gone for officially what are two upgrades. We've brought on Chi Hin on the right wing, a natural winger. Chance to get the ball into the box for him, but we've got defending to do quickly first. Clutton goes back to halfway. Roberts has nicked it. He switched to the target man role for the other sub, but here he goes. They just haven't got the pace to get in behind, and as a result, they're shooting from distance. It's often pretty wayward as well. So Roberts switched to the target man. Roberto placed by Mar. He's officially the best striker at the club in terms of rating. As Bayo puts a cross into Roberts. How many is he going to miss? He's had a good game. We've been brilliant. And I tell you what, against a side that finished third or fourth last year, we have made them look bang average. We've been the better side. We're unfortunate not to win. But it's a good point at the end of the day. We've got to be pleased with that. And for the start to the season, with a couple of players still probably to come in, I think that's a thoroughly pleasing result. Excellent work from Cefn Druids. The signs incredibly positive. Thankfully, Charlie Edge only out for 2 to 3 days, so he'll miss the game against Bala, who he played in the European playoff last year, but then he'll be back for Flint Town next weekend. Mar makes his debut for Cefn Druids, as does Peters, as does Coley, and Chi Hin, the youngster, as well. Let's have a look at the schedule, though, for when we're next going to be back. And I think it's fairly obvious, isn't it? Let me see what day deadline day is officially this year. So deadline day is on the 1st of September. What we'll do then is we'll come back for that to see if our director of football is doing any last minute business. And then we'll show the game against Connors Key, the side that finished second last year, the side that obviously will have started in Europe. Let's see actually how they did in Europe this season. They lost 5-0 to Northern Ireland's Crusaders. So definitely not the best in Europe, Wales. Maybe we're being too optimistic based on what we saw with Bangor City last year, forgetting that we're 20 years further back in this one. But a brilliant start to the season performance-wise. Probably a pleasantly surprising transfer window. I know we've still not got the right winger, but We've had so much worse. We've had years where we've started with 12 or 13 players at some clubs. We've had ones where we've not been able to compete at all. But to only have one hole in the squad and to have a decent lot of youngsters too, I think we've got to be pleased with the squad depth. So we'll be back for the 1st of September, transfer deadline day, followed by a big match at Connors Quay. If you're looking forward to that one and you did enjoy this transfer special, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know in the comments what you think of Ben Williams' work and that performance away at Penybont. I know they've got significantly weaker, but I think we've got to take the positives out of that. If you're looking forward to the rest of the season and don't want to miss anything, please do subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on. This series will continue at 3:30 every day for the next week or so throughout the beta. We've got Hemel Hempstead back at 11:30 tomorrow for our first end of season review. And then on Sunday morning, we've got something special from the Data Hub. So please do keep your eyes peeled for that one. You can find us on Twitch in the eye above as well. 6 PM tonight for Derby County, 10 AM both days at the weekend. But a massive thank you for watching. Your continued support as always. It is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you next time for another Welsh Transfer Deadline Day. Director of Football, do your worst. I'll see you there.